Alright, quick walk around video on the Sasquatch van conversion here for the G Series van group on Facebook. Let's see, we'll start with rear cargo carrier. This is your Cabela's Special. I welded together this sort of H-shaped upright, and that's kind of handy for, it's just steel box tubing and, welded ground sprayed with some bed liner kind of stuff out of a rattle can. But these uprights are kind of handy. They give you additional mounting points for hooking stuff up. It also gives you a little leverage to pick this thing up and put it in the receiver. We take it off when we go camping and set it aside, and then I have to put it back on, and it's just a little easier with these uprights. You can kind of grab a hold of them, put it in there. It's also good for putting the kid's bike on the back if you want to do that. Let's see, got standard hazard fart receiver extender here with a little hook. Got a quick release cotter pin over here again from Harbor Freight. And oh, you guys saw my license plate number. Uh-oh, I'm in trouble now. Here is the 10-liter tank for the diesel heater. It's down to about half a tank now, but that's after several weekends of camping and extensive use. So this thing just kind of sips the juice. What we got going on here, I'll show you where the fuel line runs back here out of the bottom of the tank, and it's just zap strapped to the tire carrier and then runs through this little nylon gland nut into the door. It's got a little play in it so that when you open the door it can flex open and you got no problems there. And the nice thing about this little extender here is it gives me just enough play. If I want to open the rear doors, I can kind of tip this down a little bit and my door clears. And I can pop the other door open and you can see it just clears the cargo carrier. So here is the bed. The whole kind of rear end here. Got the guitar and the chainsaw, got to have the essentials. I put a little fold-out utility hook kind of deal I think I got this on Amazon. But this is kind of nice. It's just screwed into the frame here. But if you want to hang coats or we hang hats and headlamps, that kind of thing when we're camping. But you can fold these guys away so you don't bean yourself. Let's see. This is sort of the rear control area. And we've got, this is a cheap little amplifier. I think these are $30 on Amazon or something like that. But that is for kind of the main sound system. I got these little speakers out of a, what was it? It was a sound bar I got at the Goodwill. I just pulled the speakers and the crossovers out, and that's all kind of mounted up underneath here. And there's a larger speaker over there. That's all kind of tied in. This is sort of the main control system. So we've got, this powers up this panel, shows me what my voltage is if I'm laying back here and I kind of want to see what's going on with the non-starting electrical system. I can monitor that from back here. Got a 12-volt cigarette lighter type outlet. Got a couple of outlets for charging devices and stuff. These whole panels are pretty cheap. You can get these. I have two of these. I've got one here and then one up front that's tied into the starting system. They're real easy to set up, real easy to wire. Let's see, we've got this switch. This is the overhead lighting. And this is just cheapo LED strip lighting, 12 volt. I did the ceiling in cheap for laugh. You can get bundles of this at the hardware store. Shout out to McClendon's if you're in the Seattle area. That's kind of my go-to spot. It's sort of uncomfortably bright at night for when you're hanging out in the van, but it's great for you get to the campsite late at night or something. You got to load stuff. It's bright as all get out. Now, so turn that off. Turn that off. This is driver's and passenger side exterior illumination. So I'll show you that. So we'll do the passenger side. I'll turn that on. I'll come around And you can see I've got these little, up on this roof rack I cobbled together, these little, again, just cheap LED stuff off of Amazon. But it's real nice. You're loading at night or what have you, or you just want to have sort of a porch light kind of a thing. These things, they don't look so bright in the daylight, but they really kick it out at night. And I've got those on either side. You can see over here. There's the other set. They're not turned on at the moment, but it's cool too because you've got them wired up separately, so you can just turn one set or the other on, or both. Here's my solar panels. I have a 100-watt solar panel and an 80-watt solar panel. Started with the 80 and then beefed up, bought the 100. All of the wiring and stuff is, again, just sort of zap straps, but these are these big heavy-duty guys. They work pretty well. The roof rack was these cheap sort of uprights. I got these off of eBay. I think the set was like $60 or something. And they just clip to the drip rails. And then I use more of the steel box tubing to create my runs. Ultimately, I'm going to weld up an actual deck, a steel mesh deck with frame that'll probably come up about 8 inches or so I can actually store some cargo up there as well as the solar stuff. I could strap things up there. I've put my chainsaw up there and some other things. But it'd be nice to have a cage. All of that runs down through this conduit and into this little box with these gland nuts here. And I used, what the hell is that stuff? It's some sort of like a high-grade body panel glue. It's this nasty black stuff. Will glue just about anything to anything. So that's both flexible glued and mechanically fastened to the side. I haven't had any issues with leaks or anything like that. So that's both the wiring for the exterior lights and the inlet wiring for the solar panels. You can see my somewhat janky, but it works, rattle can paint job here. This is just Rust-Oleum, camo stuff, and then the sort of spray faux bed liner that's the cheap stuff. Did kind of a fake wheel well arch sort of a thing here. And there's the inevitable 90s General Motors, 80s, 90s General Motors cancer that I need to do something about at some point. But I've cut the bulk of it away for now and then kind of sealed it up with rust inhibitor. So that's working out. Let's see. Let's go back to the back. And this is the utility drawer. Now, one thing you guys will notice is I am not the world's best carpenter. It's not my area of expertise. I'm just good enough to get things done, but it's not beautiful. But it's utilitarian. Let's see. Here's our utility drawer with everything under the sun you could possibly need. Hatchet, map gas torch, ventilator. We are in the age of COVID here at the moment. Gaff tape. This is especially messy because we've actually been out at some property out in the Hoh rainforest for a while and been using this thing. We're just back now, kind of cleaning and organizing, or starting to. But that drawer tucks away there. On the left side underneath is long storage. So this runs the full length of the bed, and it's a full open channel all the way to the interior of the van, which is kind of nice. You can put long stuff in there. I've got this box. This is actually just a cardboard box that one of our canopies, like a 10 by 20 canopy from Harbor Freight again, came in, but it works pretty well for just storing stuff, axes, towels, utility blankets, muck shoes, just random crap. Slide that back in. And there's room in here. I've got a big tool chest that goes in here as well. You can kind of see how this has all been assembled. Just cheap steel box tubing welded together. I'm not the world's best welder, but it's sturdy. I'm a pretty big guy. I'm 6'4", 300 pounds. Holds me and it doesn't creak or make me worry about anything. I've put big rounds of firewood and all sorts of stuff back here, and it holds up. So let's get the chainsaw out of the way here. You can see, oh, here are the vents. This is the outlet vents for the diesel heater. You can kind of spin those around, aim them where you want. Ultimately, I want to build something I can pop these out, put a tube in, run it over towards the front to the footwell, and use it as a boot dryer. I think that would be pretty slick. Should be pretty easy to do. They just kind of pop out of here. Get back in there, you turkey. I'm trying to do this all backwards. I'm actually left-handed, so there we go. Okay. Let's see. Ouch. So if we lift up, so this mattress, this was, I don't know, 160 bucks or something. Again, this is Amazon. Comes, you know, they suck all the air out of it and it comes rolled up in a tube and whatnot, but it's pretty comfortable. Queen sized, more or less. We cut a little bit off of the edge because it's, you know, it's foam. It's pretty easy to cut. Cut some off the edge, cut some off the front edge to make it fit the bed platform. So I'm gonna see if I can lift this up here. So this, underneath the bed, I'm gonna pop this out, prop it up. It's kind of nice. You can take this panel and use it to hold the mattress up. So down here, this is the little diesel heater. So the fuel runs from that line right down here underneath the left tail light. It runs inside and up, and it actually runs through the steel frame because it's a hollow, you know, steel tube over here, and then comes out yonder down to the fuel pump, which came with the heater, and then from there down and out through the bottom, and then up inside underneath the vehicle, along with the air inlet and exhaust tubes. But I can't say enough about these cheap little Chinese diesel heaters, or at least the one that I got, because it's pretty kick-ass. It's warm, dry heat, uses very little fuel, doesn't put a lot of strain on the electrics. It's not particularly loud either with the exhaust or the pump. You can kind of hear the pump just sort of going thump, thump, thump as it moves the fuel along in the line. But it's not unpleasant at all. It doesn't keep you up. Pop that back down. Okay, let's see. Let's come around to the side. This is more of my goofball paint job and sort of a Pacific Northwest theme. Started off with this sticker. Got this at the Forks Thriftway in Forks, Washington. Thought it was pretty cute and funny. And then we got the Yeti cooler. And being as how we camp in the Hoh Rainforest, which is kind of the home of the Sasquatch here, the theme kind of became obvious. So she's the Sasquatch fan. Oh, I should turn those overhead lights off. Let's see here. Okay. Oh yeah, here's this powers up the little stereo amplifier here. There's also actually a subwoofer, and it is wired up and hidden kind of behind. So this is your crossover frequency and your volume for the sub. That's kind of set it and forget it, you know, but you can fiddle with it if you're feeling ADD about it, which sometimes I am. Turn this guy on. Bluetooth mode. And so you can stream from your phone or tablet or whatever. And this thing gets pretty good and loud. We can crack the doors open and have some jams at the campsite. Well, we'll turn that off. Let's see. These are just little wood panels that I made and stained. This is the exhaust outlet for the diesel heater, and it's just run kind of up over the axle there, out of the way, so it's not going to get pinched by anything as you're going over rough terrain, what have you. And I just wanted to move it a little further away from the sleeping area. You know, you don't want to get exhaust sleepy and never wake up. So that was the idea there. Open up the sliding door. And it's kind of a mess because we've been out putting her through her paces. Got the venerable camo Crocs here, and doggy stuff. It's an old ever-ready flashlight that I converted to LED and put like a 6-volt LED light and 3D printed a little insert so that it fits where the D-cell batteries would have. But it's nice because it's bright. So you got the classic look, but you got modern illumination here. And let's see, a boot scrubber. That just sort of sits down there in the door well. It's not mounted or anything. You can take it out and put it where you want it, but it just hangs out right there. It's a little plastic battery box, but we use this for medical supplies, bug spray, all that kind of thing. It just fits in this little cubby here just right. And I happen to have a spare one from, I ordered 2 of them thinking I might use them for the onboard power systems. I used one, but actually welded up a battery cage under the bed for the second battery. So this was available, and it works pretty good. Let's see, get my clodhoppers out of the way here. So underneath here, this is sort of the back side of that utility drawer. This is another good storage space. Usually this big toolbox here lives in the long box area in the back. But I needed access to it recently, so it's under here right now. But you got more good storage there, and then you can see here's the other end of that box that I showed you. And this is the one of the 2 outboard batteries. So there's 3 batteries in the vehicle, one for starting it up in the hood, and then 2 back here for the separate electrical system. Let's see. And then there's this janky little side table I built. Some spare parts from an old piece of antique furniture that kind of broke up, but kept a lot of the hardware off of. I like to, kind of a pack rat, like to reuse things as I can. Hate to be wasteful. So there's a second battery under there. And we've got our little 1,000-watt inverter if we need to run anything off a 110. We've brought our coffee maker once or twice out camping and set it on top of the subwoofer here. It fits just right in this little recessed spot, and brewed coffee. But pour over is just as easy too. So let's see what we got in here. So this is our solar charge controller, MPPT. Definitely recommend that over PWM. It's just super efficient. This thing is getting, like, we're parked under, it's a little overcast right now here in Seattle, and we're actually parked under a carport. You can see the leg of it there. She's still getting full charge. Everything's topped up. Everything's groovy. So that is the solar charge system. Here's a little battery monitoring deal. These are super cheap, and this is, again, all the finest stuff China can provide off of Amazon here. This is the main power switch for the electrical system. That turns everything off or on. Let's just do a little electrical monitoring. We got a little fuse panel here. Could have gone probably with something smaller. I'm only using a handful of these circuits, but I've got room to grow if I want to go crazy with more electrical stuff down the road. There's some little hooks for hanging headlamps and whatnot. Now over here, if I get this in here. So these little guys are pretty cool. So the smart battery charger, that means I can actually just plug this guy into, I can run an extension cable out here and plug it into shore power, as it were, and I can charge, so I can charge 3 different ways. Solar, 110 electric from the house, and then this little smart battery isolator deal is pretty cool. So I've got a line run up to the main starting battery, and I can actually charge this system, or it charges automatically while we're driving off the alternator. So once the main battery is up to its set point of, 13.5 volts or so, it'll kick over and start feeding the secondary electrical system, which is pretty handy. So all this is hidden under this little table, something if you want to fix a drink or prepare a sandwich or something like that. Again, not a great carpenter, but it's sturdy and it works. I found an old piece of marble. This was again from the Goodwill, I think, and a little piece of metal here. It's just, you know, goofball stuff, but it works. Here's that. This is a stained glass wall sconce I got, and then I just stuffed it with the guts of one of these guys, which is a cheap RV overhead light. And these are kind of cool because if you turn it off, turn it back on, you can either get white light or yellow light, which is, the yellow is much more pleasant, particularly at night. So it's the same thing in here, just gutted and stuffed in this little lamp. What else? Okay, there's a little subwoofer there, and so we've got a kidlet, little 8-year-old, and so this is his seat. I mounted this sort of centered so that he can talk to us while we're driving and whatnot. He's not completely isolated and what have you. But we can unclip this guy and take it out if it's just the better 3/4 and have a little more space for when it's just the two of us. What else? These seats are all not original to this van. These are Starcraft out of a conversion van. Got them from a guy on Craigslist. He had a van he was parting out, and I got a pretty good deal on a set of 4 of these, and I tossed the 4th one because it was in kind of rough shape. Just picked the best 3. So those are all bolted all the way through to the underside of the vehicle. That's pretty rock solid. Ultimately, I want to make a little table with the same kind of mounting cleat as this chair has. So if we don't have the little guy with us, and we want to have just a little surface to play cards or fix a sandwich or set stuff down, we could clip it into that same mounting point. What else? Okay, up front here, one of the things I haven't done of all the things that I've done that are gee whiz on this thing. When I got this van, I got it from a buddy of mine, and it was his old band's touring van, and they didn't have, these windows don't roll down at the moment. It's missing some hardware, I think the regulators, and I'm guessing that the motors, I think the motors are in there, but they're